business. And because God is in this business, we want all of you to know that having stepped into this business, he wants us to go ahead, wants us to go ahead and tell the Ambazonian people to prepare themselves. Now, Ambazonians, you need to get ready and prepare yourselves, and let's push on and let's march on to victory, because the Lord has conquered. And because the Lord has conquered, we will not hesitate to march ahead. And so in the course of marching ahead, we have in the studios today Dr. Johnson Tata, who will be dishing out to us, as he is led, the history of our land. Last week, the whole of last week, you were with Dr. Lobati, who brought to us the history like we've never, so many people have never heard before. But he was just repeating what has transpired in Ambazonia, relating it to what is presently going on in Ambazonia, to make it very clear that, as the word says, there is nothing new under the heavens. There is nothing new under the heavens. And because there is nothing new under the heavens, we will be singing it and singing it and singing it until we all get it right. Once we get it right and we put things into perspective, we will be able, in that wise, to make sure that our history in the making is um, is put in the right perspective. Meanwhile, I want to go ahead and have Doctor greet the people, welcome the people, and share the history that you have today, possibly with the current events that are riding onto our history. I know as a teacher, as an instructor, you'll be able to put just everything in perspective. And that's why when I have you in the studios, I'm not the least worried what is going to happen, because I know you will deliver the goods. Over to you, Doctor.
We fellow Ambazonians, Pastor Commando, our able anchorman in the history of our nation, is with a pleasure to brief us again. Over the weekend, we had a very wonderful, a new beginning. The house of our Prime Minister, the third Prime Minister, Augustine Gomjoa House, they had their first joint session. And it was a wonderful time, because we begin to see a lot of people that were chiming in a lot of things. First of all, when the House met, for the record, we had the following representatives that were in that first joint session, where Honorable Winnie Lobati, the Madam Speaker of the House, was there. Then the Secretary General, Honorable Ambrose, was present. Honorable Caroline was present. Honorable Tabi Besson was present. Honorable Mangie was present from Baput. Honorable Yawo Bon from Bui was present. Honorable Walter Chair from Victoria was present. Honorable Pa Soni from Bangui was present. Honorable Ade from Mankon Bakchongwa was present. Honorable Dr. Ruth Pebe from Mogamo was present. Honorable John Titanta from Babisi was present. Honorable Otto Tiale from Bali Kumbat was present. Then Honorable N.S. Timge, Deputy Secretary General from Pundong, LGA was present. Honorable Dan Fulani from Dongamantung County was present. Honorable Ernest from DOP was present. Honorable Jackson Asabi from Jikwa was present. Honorable Florence for Tabong was present. Honorable Timzu from Tuba LGA was present. Honorable Tata Jonas from Ekono Titi was present. Honorable Peter Kum from WUM was present. Honorable Daniel Esroe from Mbonge was present. Honorable Gambobga from Bali was present. And Honorable KC from Boyo was present. Those were the members of the interim House of Representatives that were present in the first joint house that the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia was invited, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, and the Vice President Mr. Eric Ate was in presence too. And in that joint house, we had
Before you continue, I just
yeah,
want to make an observation. The person you say Peter Kum is not Peter Kum, it's Peter Kube. Peter
Kube,
Kube.
yeah, Peter Kube. All right, Peter
Did you call
Kube from
Kube or do you
Kundam.
call Kum? Because there is a difference between Peter Kum and Peter Kube.
Yeah, Peter Kube. Yeah, Peter Kube.
Kube.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay,
Peter
good.
Kube.
Right.
Ambassador, correct me for that. Thank you, Pastor, for
Yes.
correcting that because for the record,
Yes.
it's Peter
Yeah.
Kube. Yeah. So we had the first a new beginning because for the first time we are having the Attorney General for the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Barrister Fru Johnson was present, and also we also had the chair for the Judiciary Committee for the Judiciary Commission, which is an arm of government, was also present in the presence of Barrister Timothy, and he said something that was very, very significant. This is the summary of it. Constitutionality. That was Drat's house. It has three pillars. It was based on constitutionality, on legality, and on equity. Yeah, these were the the three things that, and this was the watchword for the new for the restored Drat's restored House of Representative. And apart from that, we also had this wonderful presentation of the picture that was behind the flyer that was in
Yeah, Pastor, before you
for the
continue,
first
Dr.
station.
Tata, sorry,
Yeah,
before you continue, please. I only heard of the Attorney General and the Judicial Council. What about the Ethics Commission and other? Were they
that
not
was
present?
coming there. That is the chairperson for the Ethics Commission. Madame Dorothy Ngwa was also there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, was present. It was a joint house, and the arms of the government were
Government.
fully represented.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Now, okay, before I ask my question, just go ahead before I come to ask my question.
Yeah, the one of the things that Amazonians would know very well, it was about the remarks from the Judiciary Commission, the chairman, um, the Barrister Timothy, It reminded us of WHO Epium, one of the speakers of the House in Boya, and it reminded us of late Honorable Sam Mufo from Santa, and he made it to be clear that the like we have in the when we look at the members of the House today, the House of Representatives, they are from various educational background, and that somebody can be very, very useful. You might not be well with capacity building in those days, yet somebody like Honorable Sam Mufo was vocal and he did a lot of good things. And he was challenging the our new members of the House of Representatives that they should sit up because we are really blessed. We are really blessed today that we have people from various walks of life. There are some professors, some medical doctors, some engineers, and different kinds of people that are inside here, inside the interim House of Assembly, and we are going to be enriched because the Anglo-Saxon way of doing things is in a very, very wonderful way. The other thing I was going to say was that in the joint session, we have an endorsement from one of the living fathers, one of the foundational fathers, in person of Pa Augustine Ndangam. Pa Augustine Ndangam is a veteran teacher from in those days of Casbambili, when Casbambili was Casbambili in those days. In the 70s, he has taught in Casbambili, and he was in the English department. And our English literature and English department, you know, those people of Queen's letters, Queen's English, they can look at pictures and they can say a lot of things about pictures. The four men that were in the pictures that were the flyer, I never observed that picture the way he was observed. Dwa was in front there. Then Foncha was on the right hand of Dwa. Then PM Kale, who was the House Speaker, was standing in between Foncha and Dr. Endele. And Dr. Endele, all of them were smiling. Foncha has just won the election to be the next prime minister after Endele. Because the Endele is our first prime minister. Then the second prime minister is Dr. John Good Foncha. And when the Speaker of the House, when the result were pronounced, the Speaker of the House and Dr. John Good Foncha came to say congratulations. I mean, and Dr. Endele, they came to congratulate Foncha. We can see in the picture, all of them, they were smiling. It was not a kind of rancor, a kind of people getting angry. No, that's the kind of democracy that we are looking forward in Ambazonia. And not only that, when we look at what Pa Augustine Ndangam was sharing us, he made us to understand that Dr. Endele, as the first prime minister, one of the things that history will remember Dr. Endele for is, first, he was the first prime minister, and number one, he took us from Nigeria. Number two, he organized a successful general election, and when he lost in that election, he gracefully conceded to Dr. John Fonche. And When we look at the second Prime Minister, Dr. John Foncha, what history will remember him for is that he took our case to the United Nations and told them that, look, UN, what we need is not joining Nigeria or joining
Annexation.
East Cameroon, but that we need
Mm-hmm.
an independence.
Mm-hmm.
Then he took our case to the to the Queen, the Queen of England, who is still alive now. That no, you cannot leave us like that. You cannot say join Nigeria or join East Cameroon.
Cameroon.
Those are the things that Foncha will be remembered
Remember that.
for. The last person, the last prime minister to sleep in our state house in Boya is Honorable Ngomjwa. And Gomjwa was an outright person. That is what he was somebody that um, he was so vocal. He didn't he didn't look at face. He actually represented us very well. That was why Aijo was very afraid of him. That's why Aijo uh, 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 took him as a surprise. He went to address the Joint House of Assembly, and Aijo sent gendarmes. They came, uh, took the state car from him, and he was deposed. And they announced Muna as the Muna is not in our history. Do you know that, Pastor? Because he is not. We never elected him. Our people never elected him. So,
Yeah, yeah.
for Ijo to come and impose Muna as our prime minister, in our own history, we don't put Muna as an elected prime minister. He's a fake
No,
prime minister. All
yeah.
right.
I
Can you
think
say something about
yes. Actually, an average Amazonian who was not born in the 70s
that? Mm-hmm.
knows the truth about Estimuna and how he was imposed on us in such a way that even his imposition did not create any impact on
Mm-hmm.
us. Um, I don't know what kind of desires he had that he was quickly bought over, and what kind of mind he had that he was quickly bought over against the independence and the cry of both Endele, Gomjoa, and Foncha. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if he was actually towing the line, I don't know what, I don't want to call it magic, but I'm thinking
Okay.
that must have been a hypnotic spirit thrown over him by
Can
the
I can,
Republic.
can I say
Can you
something
hear
on
me?
that?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Go ahead.
Muna make us to learn a lesson in a
Yeah.
sense that when the playbook of the Frenchman, the playbook was to get somebody that they can manipulate and put impose him as our leader. It did not
Yeah.
work. The way Muna also realized it, Foncha realized it. You know, Foncha resigned in 1990 from being the vice president of the republic. Now, Muna later realized and resigned. And when he tendered his resignation, because they have used him, and they have achieved their aim, they were no longer, there was, he made all attempts to see the big man, the Lion King of that side.
La Republic.
The Lion King was put all barriers against him. So there was no
Mhm.
way. So one good thing was that before the man went into the 6 feet deep, he had joined Foncha and in that delegation to come to the United Nations. And he and Foncha, they said they made an error. They asked for forgiveness, and ambassadors are forgiving them. You know, the Pumban talks that never had any treaty. And before these people went to glory, they, Foncha and Muna, you see how they marched from Mungo Bridge to Boya with the United Nations flag. That was to make to tell the people that there is an unfinished business, and that even if we do not have it corrected in our generation, this never again generation, they will surely correct it. Now, there's one thing that I wanted to bring up from the current affairs over the weekend. What His Excellency President Dr. Samuel Ikomesako said. He said something, and it was an analogy which you and I know in the scripture. It said that when you look at Peter, or when you look at the apostles of Jesus Christ, there was a Judas whose betrayal, he went to a route of no return. He could not recover. He himself killed himself because Jesus gave Judas all the opportunities. He could not recover himself. There are people like that, the coup plotters, that they will be difficult to recover. We cannot, our doors are open, but our doors are open with caution, because the president makes us to understand that when you look at the character of Peter denied Christ how many times?
3 times.
3 times. And not only that, he took the rest of the apostles and said, we go fishing. All of them followed him. And when Christ resurrected, he made a barbecue fish and invited Peter. Lovers have me more than this barbecue fish where I don't burn them for you. This fish I don't burn my hand for, burn them for you as a savior. Peter said, Lord, you don't know us. He asked Peter 3 times until Peter was so angry. And I said, God, help me. Then Jesus turned to him and said, when thou art converted, feed my lamb. I've shown you the example. So there might be people among the coup plotters that was in reference.
Yeah. Yes, doctor, as you were saying, I think you are getting frozen. We are learning the history in the past and coming back to the current events that are unfolding. We are seeing a lot of people almost doing the same thing that this La Republique grabbed our forefathers to step in and do, of which at the end of the day, they regretted. Now, their regret was for us who are coming behind.
Oh, yeah.
Now, to
Okay.
correct it, to correct what they did and discover that it was wrong, and then they repented before they went to their graves. So
Yeah.
anyone who is following the line of history and is making the same mistake, know that you will get the same result. But we are here to advise you and to let you
Yeah.
know that we are advancing and will learn from the mistakes of others. So anyone who refuses to learn from the mistakes of any other person that has gone ahead will fall in the same ditch. So over to you, doctor. You were talking when you got frozen. If I came in
Yeah.
to put some talk
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. What the president was trying to pass across that, because there are some people who are saying, look at the cabinet reshufflement. Why are some people still be there? You know, if we are not leaders, they see a lot. We thank God that this is a God-given revolution, and a God-given revolution. There are things that the leader may be privileged to know more than what you and I know. So there are some people who are not, if they are not patient with Peter, they will throw away the bath together with the baby. Am I right?
Right.
So
You
there are
see,
people that we need patience with them. Because actions speak louder than words.
yeah.
Somebody can go and talk something, I am the coup plotter. They're just making a sarcasm. But when you look at his action, the person is actually with us.
Yeah. Yeah. You see,
So we
the
have to
truth
be
is that,
very, very careful.
yeah, is that uh, there is something that Ambazonians need to learn, and learn very, very quickly.
Yeah.
That is the idea of not quickly condemning before the condemned is condemned. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you just mentioned the analogy of Peter. What about the man they call Saul, who wrote
Yeah.
almost one third of the epistles in the Bible? That guy
Mm-hmm.
was a big time criminal. That
Yep.
if he was in today's church, the highest prayer would have been, God, kill him,
Yeah.
let him die by
Mm-hmm.
fire, let him die by fire. Especially as he was going on the way to Damascus, the church would have prayed that he should die. But he killed one of the finest apostles, you know.
Yeah.
And then when he was dying, he knelt down and prayed like Jesus, and they showed us that,
Stephen.
Jesus, yeah, that
Mm-hmm.
Jesus could be found in the individual's lives, because Jesus on the cross said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing, with all the pains. But here is Stephen. Stephen is still kneeling down and saying, Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they are doing. And the Bible says that Stephen looked up to heaven and saw Jesus standing by the right hand of God.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he was bitter, if he was angry, and he would have prayed, fire would have come, because Paul, at that time, he was called Saul, the
Mm-hmm.
tough soldier. He would have destroyed him. We are telling Ambazonians that as we
Patience.
declared our land to be the land for God, let's do the best that we are doing. Let's try
Mm-hmm.
the much that we can try. And let's carry out the best that we can carry out. But there are some certain things that no matter the best we try. You know, I heard an adage that says that if you want to do something best, do it
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Because if you give it to another person, there will surely be some skirmishes. But if you want to do it the best way that you want to do it yourself. But the interim government, with all their arms, cannot go down to home front to sit down there and execute what they are planning, and planning well. For example, the support that they have sent, because as we are told, three-quarter of the disgruntled Ambazonians, as Dr. Tita calls it, they are people that have had something to do with embezzling the monies that have been give to those boys. And
Mm-hmm.
when they are hungry, they go now to take money from their own killers. Because if your enemy is supplying you food, just know that that food has poison that is going to
Mm-hmm.
kill you over the days. So
Mm-hmm.
we are telling our Ambazonian people, no matter how hungry you are, don't take food from the traitors, from the coup plotters, and from your enablers. I mean, from your oppressor, because your oppressor will poison what is giving you so that you can die. And that's why we are telling the Amber boys, as they call them, don't take money from La Republique. It has been poisoned. And those of you who are siding with La Republique, like popularly the ADF, when La Republique is done, they will face you, because nobody in Ambazonia is worth living as far as La Republique is concerned. They will
Yeah.
kill you after they have used you to accomplish their mission. So we are just telling you
Exactly.
this to know that La Republique does not have a friend. How did the person who sang the name of Paul Biya till even went into the religious circle, sang it in the church? He almost incarnated Paul Biya, Mendoza. How did he die? Miserable. He died miserably. And if you go around and discover that the number of ministers of La Republique who are in jail, who are suffering now, most of them are those who have sacrificed for Paul Biya. But because the devil does not have thank you for anyone who does services to him, he doesn't have thank you. No,
Mm-hmm.
he deals with you the way he would deal with any other person who is an adversary. But he will use you to accomplish his task, and at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, you will go. So we are telling you people, and those of you, especially those of you who are on the on home front, that you be extremely careful. Some individuals have decided to side with the enemy, and
Mm-hmm.
because they have decided to side with the enemy, they are bringing to us and bringing to you the poisonous apple, an apple that has worms, and is presenting it to you. And when you take
Yeah,
this apple that has worms, of course, it will give you porch belly. And
yeah,
we know that
exactly.
with porch
I just
belly, you
want to
cannot
add,
live more.
yeah, there
Yes,
was one of the historical aspects, the current affairs. Um, we were privileged to be in the house, and the house for the first time, their first uh, report of duty, there were two things that they voted for. The first one was about the logo for the House, interim House of Representatives. And the first the two logos, one of them got the majority vote on it, the one that had the drum, the talking drums on it at the background. Then the other um, the other vote that passed, which was unanimous, all the members of the House voted, was on the area of uh, some some traditional rulers who they went into they tumbled across the playbook of the
the
Frenchman,
Republic.
and
Mhm.
they are there in abroad. They say went there for whatever they say
Museum.
museum.
Mhm.
They were at war, and what are they saying? They are trying to say that everything is okay. Let's go and do museum. Don't you see there are rulers here? Everything is okay. That is a fake news that they are giving them. That's a fake history they are giving them. And so the House voted and said that any anything that they go into secret signing something on our behalf is dead on arrival.
Yeah.
And the
Mhm.
people at the hook front are waiting for them because they're not representing them. They let them go forever on exile, wherever they are. Let them just remain there. They should not even attempt to go back to their condoms because
Yeah.
it's a full disgrace. Do you have anything to talk on that?
Yeah, I think that we don't need any encyclopedia to know who
Mm-hmm.
is a betrayer and to
Mm-hmm.
know who is siding with the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, we know that many of them are receiving some crumbs from La Republic, and they have been blinded to the suffering of their own children.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them who are privileged to have children sent overseas uh, don't mind and don't care about the others who are really starving back at home. A child will finish
Mm-hmm.
university and come back and is fighting self-pass with the father in the house instead of him feigning now to support the frail father. He is
Mm-hmm.
there fighting to take the father's pass. That is the crime that we have with our people. And I, like many people have said, I want to believe that the spiritual powers of darkness in La Republic has caught up with so many Amazonians who are neither for God nor for the devil, because you cannot
Mm-hmm.
afford to stand on the wall. So when you are not for God, definitely devil will catch you. When you
Mm-hmm.
refuse to go with the enemy, of course, God will stretch forth his hand, and he's stretching forth his hand is for you to come. He doesn't force you. But with the devil, he forces you. Now, we have told our people, especially the fake thing they call unity, that has been selecting our real warriors and killing. Now, I don't know whether you saw the fake game they played a few days ago. They exploded their this thing after all the trucks have passed. In I think that was in Bui. I don't know whether you saw it. I watched it very keenly, and they were pretending to say those that is the game that they have planned.
Mm-hmm.
And for now, I do not know the people who are still following this criminal called Ayaba. I don't know where they put their heads. I don't know where they put their minds. That this man is showing to the Ambazonian people everything that can be noticed as
Mm-hmm.
not being with us. Yet there are people who are still standing and supporting this criminal. When he comes out and makes a speech, some people still listen to it and they still follow. And I think that the plan of the security of Ambazonia should be tougher now to deal with these fellows, because they have taken us some few months backward when we were supposed to have been in our homeland. They have taken us some few months backward in their compromise and their complicity with La République du Cameroon. And so I would want to to support any motion that was raised concerning the enablers. And again, some of the people they paraded as our funds, we actually doubt their being our funds. We actually doubt their authority and their authenticity to know whether they are our people. Because La Republic is a game changer and they can change their dirty games with every dirty people. But the only tough game that they have not been able to change and they have not been able to succeed and they will not is the game when it concerns the interim government, where Dr. Sako is the president. It has been a game that they have tried the puzzle and it has not worked. They have even gone right into their house, gotten some people who were claiming, I have the final say. And when I say the final say, everything will be okay. And
Mm-hmm.
over the months, it is stagnant. They say, okay, get in there, destabilize everything. They have destabilized it. But guess what? We're still pushing on to show that when God ordains, there can be an Absalom. When God ordains, there can be an Ahithophel who will, in one way or the other, try to change the game. And his changing the game will still fall in line with God's game. So when we saw the history day before yesterday, in the interim House of Reps, I just saw what happened in the days of Gomjoa.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the defunct RC, as they call it,
Mm-hmm.
there were people there who were representing themselves, only themselves. We don't
Mm-hmm.
know which constituency they came from. But the House of Reps is to represent a people to whom you owe to give an account and whom you owe to take their concerns and bring them back to the government. And so I think that this step of instituting and putting that house in place and some of the decisions, I know they are working. I know they are working. And as touching the war on the home front, I know that there are strategies that are coming up, which we cannot say them here on the social media.
Of course.
You know that La Republique, their end game has come because trying to take people from La Republique, wear our clothes on them, and make them to mimic our traditions, mimic our rules, mimic our culture, mimic everything that is done in Ambazonia. It's not going to work because we saw it there. They can even make them to talk their French, and talk it smoothly and fluently. And they say they are from this quarter, they are from this quarter. It's all fake. We know it. And the international community, that the so-called international community, which it is like a lame, it's like a dog that cannot bark, or is better than it's like a dead lion, is sitting down and keeping quiet, but they know that these people are serious with what they are doing. And so, Ambazonians, we are here to let you know that our current events is boiling down to our history, and it is time for us to correct our history. Let's not go the way Ahijo did, autocratically came in, took away our man, Gomjua, and replaced him with a stooge. Today,
Yeah,
we find,
I just wanted to run down that in the
yeah,
days of Joa, they had people that they were close to their, who were really close in his time. And when they were getting people into the House of Representative, in their ballot paper, I have their ballot paper here. I see Joa at the head, I see Ponangwapo, who is still alive today, Ponangwapo the third. I see Bokwe. You know Bokwe? Okay, Pastor is not there. I see Bokwe. I see um, Mrs. Gwen Bonley. In those days, Gwen Bonley was the only woman that I know in the list.
Yeah, I know
But
Burnley. I
is
know Burnley. Burnley
Gwen
was
Bonley?
in Victoria. Yeah, Burnley
Wow,
was in
wow,
Victoria.
wow, wow.
Yes,
I
I
was
know
saying that
her.
Gwen Bonley was among. So among
Yes,
those people those generation,
yes,
Ponangwapo is still is there in
still alive.
Mankon. Ponangwapo
Yeah.
the third.
Mm-hmm.
We have apart from Mrs. Gwen Bonley, we have Dega. Then we have WHO Effium, who became the Speaker of the House. Then we have Mr. Honorable Elangwe.
Mm-hmm.
We have Dr. Endele. Then we have Dr. Mr. Honorable Etame, uh, Honorable Fononcho, um, Honorable BTB Foretia. You know BTB Foretia? You heard about that name?
No,
Yeah.
no,
In
I
the
cannot remember
civics,
that name.
in the primary school, in our days, his name used to
Mm.
come up. Then we have um, JC Kankolo. You remember
Yeah,
JC
yeah, yeah,
Kankolo?
yeah, yeah. From my village. Yeah.
Yes, JC Kankolo. Then
Mm-hmm.
Honorable Kindo,
Mm-hmm.
Honorable Lafon from Bui,
Yeah, Lafon. Yes,
Honorable
Lafon.
M.N. Luma,
Mm-hmm.
Honorable Manga,
Yeah,
Honorable N.N. Bile,
Bile. Yeah, NM Bile. That one belonged to primary
Honorable
school.
Honorable Hen, Honorable
Mm-hmm.
Meto, Honorable Sam Mufo. You know Sam Mufo very well.
Of
That vocal
course,
man
of
from
course,
Santa. You know,
of course.
there are people that have talents, even though they were not well. They were not.
Educated.
I mean, you
School.
see, how
Mm-hmm.
democracy does. It didn't reject anybody as long as
Yeah.
your people say that you should go and represent them, and he really
Mm.
represented them very well.
Yeah.
Um, we have Honorable Money from moi, Honorable
Mm-hmm.
Muyongo, Muyongo, Honorable Moi,
Moi.
Honorable Nja, yes,
Honorable
P Moi,
Moi. Eh?
P Moi, yeah,
Yes. Yeah, Moi is from womb.
yeah,
She was
yeah.
is it Honorable Mrs. Moi?
No, P Moi,
Ah, V Moi. Okay.
yeah.
Well, Moi is from my village
Then
too.
Honorable S Incha,
Mm-hmm.
Honorable Ndamokong. That's why you have
Mm-hmm.
Ndamokong Street, you know,
Right, right, right.
Honorable Ndamokong.
Yes.
Then
Somebody who just wrote here, somebody's name here is Wali Penja. Can you remember the name Wali Penja? Did you used to hear that name Wali Penja in those days?
yeah, in this particular list in the time of Prime Minister
Mm,
Joa, his name was
mm,
not there. Honorable Ndongo, Honorable Njumbe, Honorable
mm-hmm.
Nkweti. You know Nkweti?
Yeah, Nkweti, yes. Nkweti
Yes.
is
Honorable Nzame, J. Nzame from
Manko.
Dunga Mantung.
Mm-hmm.
Then Honorable De- Oka, Honorable Saka, BT Saka from Bui, Honorable E. Sona. You know
Mm-hmm.
Sona Street?
Yeah.
That the name comes from Honorable E. Sona.
Honor.
Honorable S.N.
That
Tamfu
Sona, that Sona is a
from
name from
Dumamantum.
my wife's village now. That Sona is a name from Midland.
Okay.
Yes, from
S.N. Tamfu, you know S.N. Tamfu,
yeah,
no?
Tamfu. Yeah, Tamfu from your village, right?
From Dumamantum.
Yes.
Uh, Honorable Emenjo, Honorable Wanzui, and Honorable D.M. Young. You know
Yeah.
D.M. Young?
So yeah, the young. Yeah,
Eh?
I've heard of that. DM Young. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The D.M. Young, you should
How
know
about
that is coming from
from Oku?
yes. Then when you come to the side of the members of government in the last prime minister we have in Buya, you will see PM Kemcha, um,
Mm-hmm. The police boss.
Minister of Minister of Finance. Yeah, PM Kemcha, Minister of Finance.
PM Kemcha was
Dr.
the Minister of
DM,
Finance.
yes, DM
Kemcha
Kemcha was Minister of Finance under the Prime Minister of uh,
Jua.
uh, Jua.
Gumjua,
Then
right.
you will be surprised. Dr. E.M. Endele became leader of the House of Assembly
Wow.
under the Jua's administration. Can you imagine? From Prime Minister, he became
You no,
the the,
you see
the
that
leader
doctor,
of the House of
that
Assembly
is yeah, that is to show you that our people had the mind of serving
to serve the
others.
people in
Yeah,
whatever
to serve the
capacity. That's
people.
how it should be.
No, yeah. He went into that capacity just because he was to render services to the people, not
Yes.
because he wanted any other thing. We cannot go to the highest echelon now to
Yeah.
come back and then
Yeah.
go and serve under. I mean, that's humility. That's what we are talking
Then
about.
S.N. Tamfu became Secretary of State for Economics and Planning.
Mm-hmm.
Then S. Incha, he was Secretary of State, uh, Prime Minister's Office.
Mm-hmm.
J.H. Nganje, Secretary of State for Cooperative and Community Development. B.P. Ayuk, Acting Clerk Assistant.
Hmm.
Then F.N. Ajebe Sone. Ajebe Sone, you know him?
Sonny,
He was
no.
Secretary of State in those days for Agriculture. J.N. Nsame from Donga Mantung, he was Secretary of State for Forests and Veterinary Services.
Wow.
Then Mr. S.N.G. Jor, Parliamentary Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture. Then Mr. F. Pacha, Sergeant of Arms in the
Yes, Pacha. Yes,
yeah,
that's the
the
man.
Sergeant of Arms
Sergeant. Yeah,
at the
Pacha.
Assembly
That
at
man.
the.
Yes, that man withstood Ahijo. He
So
withstood
this man,
Ahijo.
yeah. Then
Yeah.
there's this man, PM Kale. PM
Mm-hmm.
Kale now became under the Prime Minister of Jua. He was the Speaker of the House of Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
N. Bile
Mm-hmm.
became Secretary of State for Works and Transport.
Wow.
J.N. Lafon was Secretary of State for Local Government.
Hmm.
L.M. Ndamukong, Secretary of State for Education and Social Welfare.
Wow.
M.M. Monono, Parliamentary Secretary, Ministry of Works and Transport. Then
Can you
A.W.
imagine?
Dalga,
Yeah.
Parliamentary Secretary, Ministry of Local Government. You see, this was the government of Dra in 1965.
Yeah, the organigram. Yeah, yeah,
So you can
yeah.
see
You know,
Endele was still there. The former
yep,
prime minister,
yeah,
the first prime minister,
was still there. So you
was
see
still
that
there.
our people, they were out to serve, to give us and to give the future generation a better life.
Yeah.
But La Republique, through their demonic uh, connections with France, saw that the organigram and the organization of the Southern Cameroons was going to be the first in the whole of Africa. The
Mm-hmm.
organigram and the organization was beating every other one in Africa, you know. And somebody is asking, so women were not in that government in those days? Why were women
No, but
not there?
Mrs. Burnley was in
We mentioned, yeah, we mentioned Burnley, yeah, Burnley.
Mrs. John
She
Burnley.
played a big role. She
Mm.
played a big role and even played a big role into the Ahijos government. You know,
Yeah.
I know that Mrs. Moore actually started with the Southern Cameroons before she went into the parliament with Ahijo in
Mm-hmm.
La Republique. So those were the people that we knew. We started knowing a little bit about governance with them. But you see, the bad thing that this wicked generation of La Republic has done to Ambazonians is to completely brainwash them and wipe them out of their history. But you see, Doctor, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I see that some of the laws and the rules that God gave to the people of Israel actually help them to maintain their roots, to have stayed in Egypt for 430 years and never forgot where they came from. But unfortunately, a number of Ambazonians, only for 60 years, West Cameroonians, they have forgotten their history, and they are
Mm-hmm.
now Judas Iscariot's and biggest betrayals. You know, I am having no doubt that, anyway, one of the strongholds that God warned his people not to do was to get married to the children of the infidels. I know that it is that marital vows that stopped the children of Israel from being contaminated with all their 630 years of stay in Egypt. But this one that, people like Ngute, whether John Ngute or whatever, he would drive away his Southern Cameroonian wife and marry a Betty woman. That is a clear indication that you are already a slave, and most of them who are advocating uh, for us to remain slaves is because they are slaves under their wives. For that
And
nation, they are slaves.
can you imagine something? In 1961, we had 6 counties. Do you want to hear the 6 counties?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Victoria
it has
was
six
one.
counties. Uh-huh.
Victoria County was one. Kumba was one. Manfe was one, three. Bamenda County was four. Womb County five. Nkambe County six. There were 6 counties. And
Mm.
in the next
Wow.
broadcast, when we have time, I have the result of the plebiscite of 1961, county by county,
Wow.
and all the
That
cities that were under the counties.
that's very
It's
good.
really.
That's very good, Doctor. I think that Ambazonians, we are, yeah, somebody put a concern that there was only one woman in at that time, because in those days our parents did not value the education of the girl child. Well, that was the half ignorance that was going on at that time, and that is true. And even the girl child themselves did not want to go to school, because I remember that my senior sisters, my parents were ready to sponsor all of them in school. They refused going to school. They refused. I was still a little boy when we would get up in the morning. They will call my senior sister to go to school. She will say, "No, yeah, I need to go me for that place." So the blame cannot actually go all to our parents, but
But
also to the,
we need to appreciate something. Maybe you
yeah.
will have the. When you look at our mothers, my mother, was not privileged to go to school because the culture at that time is that the woman goes up, the woman is to get married and be in the
Raise
husband's
children.
place, and the husband is the breadwinner. My father was
Yeah.
the principal of an elementary school. When my mother,
Mm.
in my time, my mother went into adult classes.
Mm-hmm.
She went into adult class when the village organized adult classes. She went there to learn, to at least to learn something, to learn how to read and write, and that was
Right.
the highest education that my mother had. And
Yeah.
when you look, our mothers, they were encouraging us to go to school. Remember, they
Yeah. Yeah. They
encouraged
were
the
encouraging
children
us to
a
go to school.
lot to go to school, especially
Yeah.
the
That's what
male
I'm saying.
children. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, but
Hmm.
my parents, my father actually wanted everybody, the girl and the male child, to go to school.
Hmm.
And I come from a tradition where the tradition is a little bit very cruel. I have abdicated and hate that tradition from the beginning. You know, where you will grow up with your children, suffer with your children, and then tomorrow somebody will come in the name of uncle. You know, that is the son of your father's sister will come and succeed your father and then drive you
Wow.
out. So that was a kind of a stupid and dirty tradition that
You
I
know
grew up with.
the history in the site of Fundong, if I'm not mistaken, it is a
Yeah,
matrilineal succession where it
yeah,
is
that's
the
correct.
women that succeed. In
Yeah,
our site, it is
patrimony, patrimony.
the firstborn
Mm-hmm.
that will succeed, not
Yeah,
uncles.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and
It must
the
be
good
terrible.
thing is that in the time of my father, my two siblings that were girls. I mean, I had a family of six, four boys and two girls. The girls were given opportunity to actually the most senior among the girls. She dropped out in class six, but she reached very well. But the other one that followed her was able to go right up to secondary school and did some O levels. But it looked like with the homesick and mom, the attachment to moms, and since when you want to talk, you say, "Don't talk to my daughter anyhow. My daughter will
Yeah,
be with me here." They will go to marriage,
yeah,
so they did not go too far. But
yeah,
we among the
yeah,
boys were able to, three graduates, and that's not too bad. And
yeah.
the other one went into the armed forces in
Mm-hmm.
the colonial section.
Not a problem.
So yeah, um, so you can see that the women, like the person who commented, there were only one woman. I mean, we should we should appreciate our leaders that they were able to recognize the talent of the Mrs. Gwen Bonley and was able to put
Mm-hmm.
her to represent the people in the parliament, in the House of
Yeah,
Representatives.
yeah. We are greatly in an age where right now it is uh, believed that women can take good care and do a number of things better just for the sake of the yeah, I mean any caring mother will normally care for children. And so if a woman gets into a political post today, she is getting into that post as a mother, and the care that she will render in that position to the people will be the care of a mother. And we know that if you
Yes,
put mother and father together, the mother will care more than the father. And so
yes.
these
And
are
that's
issues
why
that
we are
in
not to cut you short.
the
Not to
yes.
cut you short. Do you know that we have the Winnie Mandela of our revolution, Dr. Winnie, Madam Speaker,
Yeah.
um, Winifred Lobati. I mean,
It appears
with,
it appears
is
names have
the
something to
talented.
do.
Uh-huh.
It appears names have something to do with
You
some
look,
of the occurrences that are happening in the
sometimes,
society. Yes,
yeah.
yes, because Winnie Mandela, Winnie Lobati. I mean, this is
And
yeah, this
they are vocal, and they stand. They are going to
firm.
score the goal.
Yes, called straight. I came to realize sometimes in my days of traveling, I usually like to go to an immigration who is a woman, but I tried some and they were very, very tough. So whenever I'm standing on the line, I'm praying not to go to a woman, because if you say something and you act a little bit different, the hammer that will fall on you, because an average woman thinks that the man is domineering over her. And so, with that mentality, if you try anything funny, they will hit a iron on you when they are in leadership position. And of course, I have never fallen into any big problem, because as a servant of God, as a child of God, whatever I do, I wouldn't do it in such a way as a challenge, or as in such a way of undermining, because I know that the man is not superior to the woman in no way. It's just that when there is a leader
A
in a
taxi,
place,
one person must be a
yeah,
driver.
exactly. One person must be a driver. And that driver, even if you are giving the driver instructions, you must not seize the steering from the driver and push towards where you are instructing. So with that, I think we are very, very comfortable. Ambazonians, we want to end here today, and we want to thank all of you who have watched us and have contributed, and who have learned something in history. And our sincere prayer is that the Ambazonians who are still standing there aloof, thinking that the Frenchman will change, that La Republic will change. No, they can only change when you have stood firm. If you do a laissez-faire with them, they will deal with you. That's why we are pleading with our brothers, whom our president believes that some of them have just followed the crowd, and some of them are just going blindly, and some of them just because my friend is there, and some of them just because my family is there, and they're just going. But one day, like it happened to Saul, and he became Paul, like it happened to Peter when he went a fishing, and he came back to start to catch men. God still wants the Ambazonians to arise and take their positions and be firm with what they are standing for. And at the end of the day, we will get into that land. Let's join hands together. Those of you who are still standing on the fence, we are telling you that a number of people stood on the fence and they have nothing written about them. Their history is gone. When we are reading all these great men, there were some people there that who were saboteurs, who were blacklegs, that we cannot even trace them. We cannot even know their names are not even mentioned. So let your name be written in a golden pen in this our revolution, in this our struggle, so that tomorrow, because Ambazonia is free, yes, Ambazonia is free, so that tomorrow you can be remembered. You can be remembered for what you have done. I remember that song that they always sing when somebody dies. Only remember, only remember the works he has done. Aha. So the works that you are doing are going to be remembered. And of course, God is going to remember your works. What works are you doing? Are you doing works to sell your brothers to continue to be slaves? Or are you doing a work to make sure that they are delivered? Now, if your brother is making a mistake in the fight to deliver your brothers, is that what you take up to sing from morning to evening, nailing him, nailing him, nailing him? Or do you, if you actually have evidences, do you go to nail the evidence outside there, or do you call your brother to whip him in the house and say, hey, you have missed the target, let's go this way? That is what our history is letting us to know. When you are defeated, when you are tired, please just hang up and hand over and go ahead. One of the persons that I'm still waiting for Mr. President to give a title to is Secretary Ambrose, because after he had handled some certain positions in those days, the guy
Hmm.
just resigned and stayed behind. But he
He
didn't
went to a
lead the
local
revolution.
government. He
Went
went
back to
to a
his local
local
government,
government. Mm-hmm.
became a floor member, and was
Mm-hmm.
obedient to the leadership of his government. And after some time, when he had rested and he still came back, and that these are the kind of people that, even though it is still current event, we want to
Can
be
I
putting them in
can I
history.
can I add something to that?
Yes.
This man went to. I happened to be in that time that he announced that he was going to step aside because he wanted to work from the background. When he left, he went to his local government and was just there, busy, obedient in the local government, not even a chair person in the local government. So when this opportunity came for people to go for to be a representative, they nominated him, and when they vote, he was voted to be a representative in the interim House of Assembly. He went there, never knew, not knowing that he never would canvass for anything. But the gift of a man always make a spot for him.
Yeah.
Behold, they just go home and say, hey, SOS Ambrose is here. So he continued with the secretaryship to be the Secretary General of the interim House of Representatives. It's really,
So
that
when
is a
I
clear example. We talk about Endele. Endele, after Prime Minister, after he handed over to
yeah,
Poncha, and finally when
yeah,
Dwa won, Dwa
yeah,
brought him to the House, to be a member of government.
yeah.
He didn't say, well, how can I
I'm the
be
ex
now?
minister. My
I'm your
portfolio is
colleague.
high about it.
But
Yes.
he humbled himself
Humbled himself. Yeah.
and
He
became
humbled himself. That's the
a
language.
parliamentary leader of the main
Mhm.
party. You know.
All
So
right. It is to that note that we are coming to the end of what we had for you today. Remember, tomorrow, Doctor will be here to read to
mhm,
us some of the results of what had happened. Remember, we are telling you about history that had happened, and we are joining it together with current events. So, the
mhm,
current events that are taking place in Amazonia now are very, very essential for you to learn so that those who are on the wrong side, carrying out the wrong judgment and turning their guns against their own brothers, you are on the wrong side of history, and
mhm,
you will never be remembered. You will never be remembered. I remember the good book says that let not your good be evil spoken of. There are some
mhm,
people who are still alive today that they have already made their good works to be evil spoken of. And once your works are evil spoken of by men, unfortunately, you have no standing with God, because men are are frail, and men are forgetful, and men are small. But God is not forgetful. So whatever you are doing for Amazonia, you are not doing it for yourself. You are not doing it for the president. You are not doing it for the people of Amazonia. You are doing it for God, who created Amazonia, created you as a creature to serve Amazonia. And so we want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much for keeping in touch with our history. Tomorrow, same time, 5 p.m. Amber time, we shall be coming to you with more history, and Doctor shall be here to read to you some of the results that we have never heard. Remember, he has just told us about the six divisions, or the
six counties.
uh, six local, counties that we have. Today we have 13, but in those days they had six counties. And we shall be getting into them so that you can learn that the restoration of our homeland, of the Joas government, is not a mistake. So for those people who thought that they know history and they are doctors of whatever, and they came up to say that the idea of a government was a fab, then it is we should let them know that if they say that the idea of a government was wrong, then the idea of restoring our independence on the 1st of October could have been wrong too. But then, unfortunately, it was not wrong. With that note, we want to say thank you very much for listening once again. And Doctor, you can just say goodbye to our people. I will call it quit for today.
Yeah, fellow Ambazonians, this program on our history is very, very essential because there are a lot of fake histories out there. And I was weeping when my granddaughter just was talking what they were teaching them in high school on history. I said, Fumban is a fake. It's a fake place. It's a fake. There was a lot of fake things that have been done. There's a lot of fake things. Fake 1972 printed May, fake 1984, fake 1961 takeover, fake. For 60 years, we have been deprived of our right to self-determination, but we are in a never again generation. Never again generation. Our boys on the ground, our men and women on the ground for self-defense, remember, this is a never again generation. And God is behind you, and continue to pray and defend the land, and we will get to Buea sooner than later.
Thank you very much.
Almighty Father, Papa, now you love me so, and you know my name. I give you glory, Papa Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. You know my name more than the air. You know me, you know my name. I can see your hand in my life. Lord, I see your love upon me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. I dey hear your voice in my heart. Lord, I feel your love over me. Every time I look around, now you are the see. Every time I turn around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know my name. Papa, you know me. Yeah. You know me. You know my name. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yeah, yeah. Yelele, yelele, yelele. Jesus, your love, now oh. My master, your kindness, now wonder oh. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I turn around, now you are the view. Jesus, you say I be a picking no. Jesus, you say your love go cover me. Every time I look around, now you are the sea. Every time I look around, now you are the pillow. Abba Father, you know me, you know my name. Abba Father, yeah, you know me, you know my name. Papa, you know my name, oh. Abba Father, yeah, you know me, you know my name. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele. Yelele, 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 yelele.
Hijom, hijom,
Tentative hijab,
hijomo, hijom,
tentative hijab,
betivomo, reventeto, sente shiki bijamo, kejule miwo. Belivomo, reventeto, sente shiki bijamo.